Hey there, welcome back to my channel. If this is the first time that you are here, I pretty much do videos on a lot of things. I do reviews, I do music stuff, I do art, I do engineering videos, professionalism, things like that. So if you're interested in any of that, check out anything else on my channel and maybe stick around. In this video, I'm going to be discussing a book that I've been meaning to read for pretty much since the start of this year, which is when I got the entire book series, and that is Game of Thrones. So I had already read, or I had already watched the entire series previously, and I thought, you know what, not really a huge fan of how the show ended, but I do want to read the books because I know that there's a lot more detail with certain characters, and I think that would just help me be a little bit happier with the way the story ended, pretty much. And so yeah, I'd finally decided, summertime, have a bit more time, free time, to read this story. And so I picked this up out of my bookshelf right behind me, and I got to reading. So overall, this story, because I'd already watched the show, was pretty much a nostalgia trip for me on some level, because this book right here is pretty much word from word, or not word from word, but like the entire story is season 1 of the Game of Thrones show. So I already knew everything that was going to happen, but it reminded me of a lot of things that I may have forgotten, and it also, I don't know, it was a lot more detailed. It just immersed me a little bit more in the world, and I don't know, I just really enjoyed reading this book. It was a good read and a good story overall. Now, would I recommend getting into the Game of Thrones book series? So this depends on where you are, right? So are you someone who's watched the show, or are you someone who has no understanding of like what this world even is, anything like that, right? So both camps. If you have watched the show, I think that reading the books is probably a good idea, especially to get a little bit more backstory, a little bit more information. From what I understand, there's a lot more to certain characters that aren't, they're not as much in detail in the show. So, and there are whole plot points that just aren't in the TV show that I think make it worthwhile to read the books. If you are just thinking about reading the books, I would probably consider asking someone who has already just read the entire book series if it's worth it. And the reason I say this is because there are 2 more books that need to come out in this series, and it's been almost 20 years since the last book has come out. So at this point, no idea when the last 2 books are going to come out, and you might not want to read such a good story not knowing if the actual ending is going to be available to us, right? So that's kind of my take on whether or not you should read the books. It really depends on if you're trying to just get into it versus if you've already seen the show. If you've already seen the show, again, read the books. I think it's a good time. It lets you relive the great moments of the story, and it's just written very, very well. So highly recommend that. And again, if you have not watched any of the episodes of the show, talk to someone who has read the books and see what they have to say about it. If it's really worth it, and because for me personally, I don't really know the downside of reading all the books yet, and it really won't be on the same level because I already know the ending of the show, right? So I don't really know how I'm going to feel at the end of book 5 as to whether or not I'm going to be disappointed, as to whether or not I'm going to be annoyed that I'm just going to have to wait indefinitely, right? And it's definitely going to be worse for someone who has just read the books. So again, talk to someone. Overall thoughts about this book: great quality writing, great character development. Even like every single side character has a very clear backstory, and it just shows you the amount of detail that George R.R. Martin puts in his work, and it just makes the story that much greater because you understand that there are no like half-made characters, right? There is no one in this story that just isn't flushed out, and I love it, right? A lot of the time when you read a novel, read a story that is fantasy, that is fiction, right? There can be characters that are side characters that just aren't developed all that much. and they might have a backstory that you get a little bit more deep into later on, maybe in other renditions of the story, right? But it's very clear here that every single character is fully thought out. The amount of detail, the amount of effort placed in this story, it's just magnificent. So the quality of this entire story is just amazing. So I would definitely recommend this book series, with the caveat of what I said earlier, right? So again, great read. I highly recommend it. It's a great story, great experience, and it just sucks you into the world. Very well thought out world, very well thought out characters, very well thought out plot. It's just, I have no bad things to say about this story. And I think it's just on a higher caliber than the show, honestly. Even in season one, I think that the story, it's just done better. Um, I don't know. It's just great. I just love what I read. And yeah, so I don't know. There's pretty much nothing bad I have to say about this book. If it's something that you're interested in, if you like fantasy, this is definitely something to check out. And yeah, that's really all I have to say. It's a good book, good read, recommend it. If you guys enjoyed this video, please let me know in the comments below. Have you read the books? Have you watched the series? What are your thoughts? And if you haven't, do you think you're going to check out the story now? And even then, are you going to check out the books? Or are you going to check out the TV show? Either way, let me know what your thoughts are of this video in the comments below. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.